2. Okay. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of School Trustees meeting. We begin this meeting as we do each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we have roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Good evening, Antoinette Payne, District 4.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Noah Smith, District 3.
Jennifer Mathias, District 2.
Ann Duff, Member at Large.
And to my left, we have Dr. Mark Daniel, Superintendent of Fort Wayne Community Schools, and Angie Filler, Clerk of the Board, and I'm Maria Norman, Member at Large. This evening, we have no awards and recognition, so we start with the approval of the minutes. Sorry, thank you. Vouchers and payroll from the period ending March 24, and payroll and supplemental pays for the periods ending February 21 and March 7th. We also have the approval of minutes from the meeting on March 10th, the personnel report, and required disclosures. Is there a motion on the floor to approve those?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Jen. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Yep. Application for Common School Fund Loan. It is recommended that the board approve the application for and acceptance of an advancement from the Indiana Common School Fund, CSF, for educational technology equipment in the amount of $2 million. Advancements from the Common School Fund provide funds for school districts to purchase educational technology. Fort Wayne Community Schools will use these monies to help fund the FWCS technology plan previously submitted to the state. Technology funds are currently insufficient to fund all the technology needs of the school corporation. Funds are provided as a loan and are awarded to school corporations on the basis of assessed value per pupil, with low AV per pupil corporations receiving funds before high AV per pupil corporations. FWCS therefore cannot be assured of receiving the requested advancement. Should the application be successful, funds will be budgeted in the debt service fund to repay this loan beginning in the year 2027. Interest on the loan is expected to be no more than 4% and is likely to be as low as 1%. Common School Fund advancements differ from School Technology Advancement Account loans, or STAA loans, which FWCS receives on an annual basis. Unlike CSF advancements, STAA advancements are given to all applying school corporations regardless of their assessed value per pupil ranking. And Kevin Grubel is the Director of Technology, will be available to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Kevin?
One question, maybe this is for Rosie. Is this the loan that went away for a while, now it's back?
Yes, it is.
Good news,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Are you up and running? Can you do the bus purchase,
Sure.
please? Thank you.
It's recommended the board approve the purchase of 4 14-passenger buses from Curlin Bus Sales and Leasing of Silver Lake for the price of $455,828. Indiana purchasing law allows for purchases made through competitively bid contracts from approved cooperative purchasing entities. This pricing is based on the Central Indiana Education Service Center's co-op bid from the fall of 2024. This purchase is part of the scheduled replacement of the bus fleet, and funding will come from the Operations Fund. Stephanie Huss is here from purchasing and available for questions.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved. Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Tony. Any questions for Stephanie? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Miscellaneous projects, Tony, are you up and running? Okay, no worries.
All right. It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contracts totaling $3,607,037. M1 miscellaneous masonry at Forest Park, Frankie Park, Indian Village, and Warehouse for Midwest Maintenance for $276,830. Baseball improvements at Wayne from Shingle Construction for $783,250. Auditorium sound, light, and tech improvements, all 5 high schools. Advanced System Group, $2,129,800. And Terrasso Refinishing, Blackhawk, Miami, and Wayne. F&M Tile for $417,157. Project utilized several funding sources, including operations funds, as identified in the 2025 Capital Projects Plan, as well as the 2020 School Building Basic Renewal and Restoration and Safety Project Bond and 2024 General Obligation Bond funds. Darren Hess, Director of Facilities, will be available to answer questions.
Thanks, Tony. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Ann. Any questions for Darren? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Julie, are you up and running?
I am. It's recommended that the board approve a contract amendment in the amount of $15,354,559, reflecting a total amended contract amount of $16,617,896 with Hagerman, Inc. for the athletic facility improvements at Snyder High School. This contract amendment includes addition and renovation to the existing physical education building, construction of concession restroom building, construction of 4,554 seat visitor and home grandstand bleachers with concrete foundations, construction of a football and track storage equipment building, installation of a 9-lane vented rubber running track, replacement of the Chambersfield press box, and construction of a practice soccer field at the at Snyder's Long Road Athletic Annex. It's further recommended that the board approve the following cooperative purchase agreements for the athletic facility improvements at Snyder High School. And you can see the list there and the vendors. It includes synthetic turf from the Mott's Group, field lighting from Musco Sports Lighting, grandstand and press box from Dant Clayton Corporation, bleacher relocation, the Lee Company, and access control and cameras. And the amounts are listed there. Projects are funded from the 2024 General Obligation Bond and within program budget. And Darren Hess, Director of Facilities, is available to answer any questions.
Move we approve, Madam President.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Darren?
When they start dig dirt, when are they gonna start digging dirt?
We were hoping to start last week, but we've got permitting issues and we just need to get all figured out, but very soon.
Remind me, does, so they'll start tearing stuff up as soon as the permits
Yes.
require? Because we've moved some athletic events that were supposed to be held at Snyder, haven't we?
Well, all spring events will still be held at Snyder.
Okay.
So spring girls tennis and the boys and girls track will still have their seasons.
Okay.
We'll start working across the parking lot or across the road at Lane. And then after
For
the
the tennis
seasons,
court?
then we'll get into the track side.
And can you remind me one more time, which, if everything stays on track, on time track, which sport will have to see some kind of switch and not be available? There's just one, right?
Yeah, it's the next season, 2026 boys and girls track
Season. So with everything that's going on, we're just having one sport
Correct.
impacted. Fabulous.
Any other questions? Thanks, Darren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Well, it took me the whole meeting to get my computer up and running. Only for it to be the end. We're at board member comments. Steve?
Well, thank you. This is a sad and difficult day for me. One of the earlier agenda items was the approval of our personnel report that included the recommendation that we, and you call it what you want, retirements, terminations of more than 20 people of this school district, and it was very difficult, but it was the recommendation of the superintendent and his team, given the financial forecasting that we anticipate for next year. So it's going to be tough. It's a blow to the things that we've been doing, our culture. But I just want to remind the public and my fellow board members is that we went through this 15 years ago in 2010 when we were dealt the same type of gut punch from the state legislature and the party in power, and we had to close a high school, Elmhurst. We closed an elementary school, Pleasant Center. We outsourced custodial, and we laid people off. And we survived. And I believe that we'll get by this too, but it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be difficult in saying goodbye to all the good people that served this district well. I will also share with you something that I did this afternoon, and it was at Abbott Elementary. I was asked to read to Tianika Sneed's fourth grade class, and we had a wonderful time. I had a wonderful time, and I'm going to go back, especially after hearing earlier this afternoon the incredible impact we have with student proficiency in reading through the Study Connection. We just have to have more people in our classrooms alongside our education professionals, and that's really one avenue that we're going to have to turn to, is helping the public understand that things are tough. We've been here before, but we now need you more than ever before. So sorry to see many, many friends go. We move on.
Tony?
Well, I will follow Steve in that same regard as far as those who are no longer with the district. I've had a few phone calls, and one of the things, I guess, more of an educational piece. While it was the school administration or team that decided in their fashion who was to leave and why. None of it's easy to see people go, and one of the big things was making sure that our classrooms are not impacted as we see these changes happening. So I want to wish everyone well. I did not obviously get to see people before they left, so wish everybody well in their journeys.
Thanks, Tony. Julie?
And just to echo both Steve and Tony's comments, it's never an easy thing to do. And I remember Steve was talking about when we had to cut $15 million like that, like in a couple months. And the sad thing is that we don't know yet what our financial situation is going to look like next year. It's a big unknown. There are, I think, 3 different proposals of varying degrees that are still sitting in the legislature right now, and that's just something that we're going to have to deal with. Those are not easy decisions, I know. But and the other governmental entities are going to be in the same situation, sadly. They're going to have cuts too that they're going to have to make. Like Steve said, we'll get past this. And I And glad to hear about your experience at Abbott, Steve, because I'm going to be there Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to that. I think maybe second grade. I should be able to read that book. Should be able to read a second grade book. I think I'll be okay.
We have faith in you, Julie. I'll reiterate what everyone said so far and just add thank you to those folks and their service. There were some folks that I think have probably spent their whole careers here, and others that have been with us for a while. But I know everybody worked hard to contribute to the growth, the education of our students and citizenry of Fort Wayne to make Fort Wayne a better place. To point out what Julie said, we still don't know what's going to happen at the state level, but what I think gets overlooked a lot, we have no clue what's happening at the federal level either. I've seen it on social media, we're one of the largest districts to benefit from federal dollars, and that's true because we are the largest district in the state with a very diverse and poor, quite frankly, population. I did not realize that I saw a quote today, and I believe everything I read on the internet, so take it for what it's worth. We're the third most federally assisted recipient state I saw. I did not know that, behind Mississippi, and I forget the other one, but it was one we don't want to aspire to be usually. Unfortunately, no one likes to pay any more tax than they have to, but from what has been reported to us, for $144 for the average Hoosier real estate tax savings, we're having to make these and probably many more cuts. We're just at the point, I think, as a group, it doesn't become, like Steve said, in 2015, we had to close a school or two, because that's, nothing that any one of us want to do. And while I like to believe Hoosiers voted for who they did to kind of live out what they promised, I really don't believe $144 a year for the average Hoosier is a proper savings. The other thing I want to do is thank President Maria Norman. I was unable to attend last week because I was out of town. And I want to thank this board. To me, tonight's vote for the Snyder Stadium, no one's been more invested in that than I am. I'm the only one that played football for Snyder. I'm not the only one that attended Snyder.
Yeah, I played powder puff.
You did, okay.
Me too.
And then I have my daughter whose daughters played soccer there, which this is not just a football stadium. And the reports today were nice and generous, but it's not just about football for this facility. In my mind, it's correcting a 60-year challenge, which probably couldn't have been done at the time it was built, and that's understandable. But then over the last number of years, where it could have been built, the opportunity wasn't presented or the will wasn't there, one of the two. This is an educational facility, and it's been asked of me of how often will it really be used, and I just would challenge anyone who doesn't think it'll be used, drive by there anytime between 3 and 6 in a fall day and see. We will have varsity soccer, boys and girls, that happen at that same time. We have football, of course, JV and freshmen, and then we have band, who's very interested in this facility and very desirous to have their own place to call home, to practice, to host events to, you name it. I'll acknowledge the spring, I question, but we also have lacrosse there as a club. I know they're dying to use a facility like that. So anyone that questions the utilization of this space, I think, is misunderstanding what's going to happen and what's going to be done there. I do appreciate the comments. I did look on social media from all the different outlets of the article and our response today, and overwhelmingly I saw support for us keeping it where it's at. And so I want to thank those folks. But back to why I want to thank Maria. I thought you did a great job, Maria, last week of trying to spell rumors and myths of what really is happening. We would love to spend more money on teachers. Steve said we're trying to cut, things where it does not impact our students. There are different buckets of money. We would love for you to come and ask any one of us, Dr. Daniel or Ms. Shipman, our CFO, how money is utilized and spent in our district. We'd be happy to talk with you all. But there are separate buckets of money, number one. Number two, this was started last year and planned last year. And the money was set aside last year. And I've shared with the folks at Snyder, who I'm still in communication with, if this were brought up this year, there's no way we could commit to that right now with the way that things are going on at the state. So to be very clear, there's no way we could have done that if this was this year. And to be clear, we had no clue what was really going to happen last year when we put this through. We had no clue. We didn't know who our governor was going to be. We didn't know what their plan was going to be. So thank you, Maria, for last week. Thank you, Maria, Jennifer, Ann, Julie, Tony, and Steve for giving Snyder a home and something to be really proud about. Thank you.
Thanks, Noah.
I too would just like to thank all of those who are no longer going to be with us. Every single one of them have devoted their time and their special talents to the area of their expertise that have all benefited our children. And that's what we're here for, right? I mean, in the end, we're all here to serve our children of the community, and unfortunately, tough decisions have to be made. If it were up to us and piles of money were flowing at us, we could do a lot with it. But we're not there, and it's tough. It's really tough, and I just want people to know that they are appreciated. We are doing our very best to keep our children with the most resources that they can possibly have so that we can see continued success. As Steve mentioned, we're looking forward to academic standards increasing and seeing, we've been challenged from the state. Every school district has been challenged from the state to improve our reading levels, and I strongly feel that we're doing just that. So thank you to everybody who have supported us. I sit here most of the weeks, every week, and reach out to the community and ask you to pay attention to what's happening at the State House, write your legislators to do it. And I'm very appreciative of those who have been doing it. I'm seeing an uptick of people interested and listening and trying to understand. It's a very confusing, it is confusing, and there is a lot to learn. And there's a lot to learn every day. So if you are interested, like Noah said, we'd be happy to share more information with you. But I do thank those who have taken an interest and stepped up to support your public schools. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Ann?
I know we just approved our consent agenda quickly, as we always do, but I can tell you that the personnel report has weighed heavily on me, as I'm sure it has you all day. Knowing that we had to approve the outgoing people as we did tonight. I know it's tough. My eye was begrudgingly an eye because it was difficult to say aye to that report. And there were a lot of difficult decisions made of who we would see on that list, but I know that a lot of thought went into that. Those decisions weren't hastily made, but it's just something that we had to do. I mean, I think the rest of my board members explained that clearly why we had to make those decisions, but it's very difficult. And it's more difficult to see those names in writing. It makes that more real, but I wish everyone the best. And hopefully things will get stagnant at least.
Thanks, Ann. Dr. Daniel?
So I think you're hearing from the board, and I think you hear it from anyone who's part of the Fort Wayne Community School family. These are very difficult decisions. We try to do it honoring the people who have served our community and our students, doing it in a way with dignity as well as empathy, but it still hurts. So I can't add any more what you've already said. In regards to federal level, we receive approximately $50 million in federal funding annually. Again, much of that money is distributed to Fort Wayne Community Schools after it's received by the state. We're hopeful the president sticks to his word and there are federal cuts. There are no federal cuts. There are no federal cuts made to programs like special education, the various title programs. And again, these are the students who are the most vulnerable. They're the students that it requires us to have very low ratio of teacher-student. There are needs that if we don't serve those needs in public schools, these students will not be served. They will not be helped, assisted, so they can then contribute to our community in a positive way. They are future workforce, and we need to do our very best to ensure that when they graduate from Fort Wayne Community Schools, they have a chance to move into the workforce to contribute in positive, constructive ways. That is our goal, and that's why you receive that's why Fort Wayne Community Schools receives the dollars it receives. So, does Fort Wayne Community Schools have programs directly funded by federal government? And the answer is yes. We absolutely do have programs that are federally funded. And again, because of our student composition, because of the needs they have, if you can imagine, we have 4,500 students that are ELL students, English Learning Language students. Think about that, 4,500. Some students walk into our classroom the first day and have no ability to read or speak the English language. And yet we have seen those kids in a little less than a year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 3 years, command the language, the English language. It is amazing to see. That doesn't happen without resources, without specific interventions where students receive those professionals working with them, sometimes one-on-one. And it makes a difference. And I would cite some statistics today, but they're embargoed right now, but I'll just say we are very pleased to see the results that our teachers, that our interventionists, that our principals, that our staff, support staff are making. It is, there are some places where I could tell you it is unprecedented growth. And we are very, very proud of what's happening. So with that said, it's not a matter of, as we look at forecasting where our budget's going to be from the state, and again, we can't tell you because they haven't settled that yet. But our most recent run shows about a $3 million reduction for the next 6 years. So you mentioned 15 million. It could be 18 million over the next 6 years. I do not believe we can cut our way out of that. So, how do you combat it? You have best programs, you have best services provided to our students and to our families, where they say Fort Wayne Community Schools is our choice, because the way you do fight this, combat this, it's through increase in enrollment. So we look at our programs such as Montessori. No one has a Montessori program with certified teachers that are highly trained for students at the level of certified teachers. No one does this. And we have roughly, we have a couple of buildings who focus on that. We have programs also, if you look at our magnet programs, second to none, whether it be STEM, whether it be the arts, whether it be, if I look at new tech, whether I look at additional programs like AMP Lab. No one, people visit Fort Wayne Community Schools to see our one-of-a-kind programming that we hope to attract students from all over Allen County. We also have partnerships with businesses that our students are experiencing, whether it be at the Pearl Arts, where we have students who are experiencing curriculum that if they're actually creating music and doing the recordings and doing the mixing and so forth with state-of-the-art equipment, because it is part of the SORAC enterprise. No one's having those kinds of experiences, period. And then we look at what we're doing with the Schools of Success model, where we've combined really two national programs, merged that into one, starting with kindergarten through 12th grade. We are leading the country in that kind of innovation. So I'm going to say, we can't cut our way out of $18 million, but we can grow our way out of it through programming that is second to none. But we need people to look at your schools and where you're heading, where your children are heading, or your grandchildren are heading, or your great-grandchildren are heading, and ask the question, what better school system could you find if you believe in cultural agility, if you believe in collaboration, if you believe in effective communication, if you believe in creative, innovative instruction, if you believe in problem solving, which is both analytical and critical, and then if you believe in students having self-direction. That's what we're about in Fort Wayne Community Schools. And I don't see us being able to move forward with these programs and sustain them unless we have people who return to Fort Wayne Community Schools and return to public schools. I think we want a Fort Wayne that is growing and prospering because you have a future workforce that's going to meet the future demands of economic growth. And it's happening here in Fort Wayne. So we need business partnerships. We'll continue to need those. We'll need volunteers coming in our classrooms, helping our students who are new to the English language, as well as those who may not have the daycare that some of our other students may have had, so they can start kindergarten on track, ready to go. So we need volunteers, we need businesses to continue, and we probably do need a way to connect with our alumni that we've never connected with before, in a way that we are going to generate funds that are going to support our co-curricular programs, both the arts, performing arts, as well as our clubs, our robotics, our athletics. These are all very, very important for our students. Very, very important. So this is the plan. And if we don't do this, I'm afraid we will stall the economic growth in Fort Wayne. And I don't think anyone here or anyone in our community wants stalled economic growth. Public schools, specifically Fort Wayne Community Schools, you want this to be the backbone of your community. And you can see where communities that don't have public schools as their background, do you really want to live there? I don't think so. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I just want to echo everything that my fellow board members said. Today wasn't easy, but thank you to those individuals that dedicated a lot of their professional career to Fort Wayne Community Schools. And then some of you may have seen the article that came out, or press release that came out, I think 15, yes, 15 had it first. We were approached by Fort Wayne Next, and we were open to the conversation about the Snyder Stadium moving downtown. It was just a conversation, and we thank them for thinking of us. However, we promised the taxpayers, we also promised the Snyder students and families that they would be able to walk outside of Snyder High School and right onto the stadium there on their campus. For us, there were just too many unknowns with the Fort Wayne Next project, and it was made really easy when my fellow board members and I, we don't have a majority vote to move forward with that project. Again, too many unknowns. We promised that Snyder football would be able to begin playing in fall of 2026. Another thing that I wanted to address that was in the article is the upkeep and maintenance of the stadium. And Fort Wayne Community Schools maintains 60 buildings, Darren? 60-plus buildings, and we have a schedule, and there's a rotation for maintenance for our buildings, and our facilities team does an amazing job keeping our buildings in working order. So that is a part of the plan. We were adding the stadium into that maintenance timeline as well. We were also given legal counsel that we weren't allowed to reallocate those general obligation bond funds to a project that we didn't share with the taxpayers. So our ship had already sailed. As Noah mentioned, we started this project last year. So there's already been numerous steps that we've taken to move forward with this project, and we were just approached a little too late to sort of pivot, and with the advice of legal counsel, decided that probably not a great idea. So those are my comments with regard to that project. Any other comments anybody would like to add?
Move we adjourn, Madam President.
Thanks,
Second.
Noah. Thanks, Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.